What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand spanking new episode of SkeleTony's Workshop of Horrors. I, of course, am SkeleTony, and this, of course, is not the workshop. This is my dining room because my workshop looks like a bomb went off in it. So, we're going to be working in here today. Now, right off the bat, I want to address the fact that, yes, the last episode was almost a year ago. And yes, I did plan to do one at least once a month, but things got a little hectic because I was launching right into Octoberama, the holidays, and then we had the film festival, and things were just crazy and just snowballed from there. So I apologize. I did want to do these more often and just didn't get around to it. We're here today, and that's what's important. Now, this is October, and what's in October? Only our favorite holiday, Halloween. And what is one of the most favorite Halloween movies? Well, it's Nightmare Before Christmas. And, I want to talk to you about that for a sec. I want to go on record on saying Nightmare Before Christmas is not a Halloween movie. It literally takes place the day after Halloween. The Skeleton King, the King of Halloween, wants nothing to do with Halloween anymore, so he decides to celebrate Christmas. It is a Christmas movie. There, I said it. Hot take. Fight me. Come find me. But that's beside the point, because today we're going to be working on a little something from the movie. Several years ago, Disney was selling at the Disneyland parks some versions of the masks that Lock, Shock, and Barrel wear. Now, Lock, Shock, and Barrel are, of course, those lovable little trick-or-treaters that live in Halloween Town, and they're complete f***ing assholes. They act like they're Jack's friends, but then they're working for Oogie Boogie, and he's a big piece of shit, and so they're big pieces of shit, so fuck them. But these masks that were sold at Disneyland were a hot item, and they sold out quickly, and then they were never sold again. And my wife really wanted some, but if you go on sites like eBay or any of those other resale sites, Mercari or whatever the hell it's called, they're sold for quite the pretty penny. Something it's not really worth. I don't even know if they're actually ceramic. They might be plastic. Who knows? I told my wife, do not spend money on those. I can make them, and I'm going to make them in front of your eyes. So without any further ado, why don't I just show you all how I did it.
Alright, so we're going to start out here with some polymer clay. This is Sculpey brand. This is Super Sculpey Original. Comes in this kind of flesh tone. It's kind of weird. But anyway, so we're going to be working with a hobby knife and some of these ball styluses. It's used for a lot of smoothing. And these are silicone tipped brushes, kind of used for like pushing the clay around and kind of molding it without actually having to carve any away. This is a wax carving kit. It also kind of looks like dental tools, but it's good for shaping. So here I am using like a kind of a spoon tool sort of to work out the mask on a piece of foil that I formed, and it just wasn't working out. So I found this floodlight that is about the same size and roughly the same shape I wanted it, so I decided to work on that. Here I am just kind of layering pieces of clay on top of it. Now I used a pasta maker for this. It kind of rolls it out at an even thickness, and so it's good for smooth surfaces like this. Just kind of trimming the edges now, and now here's where I start to make the mask as you might recognize it. So here I'm just kind of shaping out kind of the nose area of the skull mask. And here I jumped ahead, kind of working in the details of the mask. I see I formed the eyes. I don't know what happened here. I must have cut some part out and not realized it, but here I am kind of forming the teeth using one of those silicone brushes. And here I was using some clay softener to take out of fingerprints and stuff. And here I was, so proud of what I had. And then tragedy struck. I baked it, and so I put it on the light bulb and didn't put anything to back it, so I was trying to peel it off, and the damn thing broke. So, back to the drawing board, but I got smart this time. Took the light bulb, and I took some saran wrap, or plastic wrap, as I so helpfully indicated, put it over the light bulb first, and now I'm reshaping the parts that were broken. The Sculpey's nice because you can just add on to it. Here I am just kind of reworking the teeth, and you can see how the back was kind of messed up because of how it peeled off, but you're not going to see the back, all you're going to see is the front, so I'm not too worried about it. But clay softener again to get rid of the fingerprints and streaks and such. Bake it again, and here we are. Finished product. Looks good as new. Here I am trying to reuse some foil to make a form for the devil mask. See, I've rolled out some on my clay on my pasta maker. Now I'm cutting it out, and here I'm putting on another layer on top, or on bottom, so I have kind of a building up thickness basically. Now I'm just kind of shaping it on the mold, making sure that they're roughly the same scale. Here I am just kind of smoothing out the edges to blend the two layers together. So now I'm working out the details of the face and just kind of the scale, placing where the eyes and the nose and the mouth are ultimately going to go. Here I am pressing in some details to the mouth, actually using one of those silicone brushes to actually press the clay in, and now I'm using the opposite end of one of the ball styluses to kind of do more heavy duty work. You can see I've got the shape of the mouth pretty well worked in, and so now I'm going to start with detailing out the teeth. And I didn't show is that I kind of placed them so I knew roughly where they were going to go, and now I'm just kind of detailing them in, alternating between a silicone brush and one of my wax carving tools. Sorry, I don't know the names of a lot of these things, so. This turned out to be really time consuming because it seemed like every time I would shape one tooth in, another one would like lose its shape, so I'd have to go back in and rough that one back in again, and just a lot of back and forth. But eventually I got a full mouth of teeth. I'm just kind of smoothing the shape out. You know, it is supposed to be smooth, so I don't want it really lumpy. Now here I am kind of molding some clay to shape out the nose. And I started working it on and, you know, getting it ready to kind of build up the center of the face. Shaping out the nose the way I needed it. Then I realized that I was going to be fighting an uphill battle, trying to work with soft clay. So ultimately what I did is just sliced the whole thing off. Now I was going to go back, work out the flat details, the mouth, and the eyes, and go back in and add that nose back in after I baked. So I am just kind of opening up the eyes, making sure that they're relatively the same size. You can always add clay back in. It's important to get a good solid blend, otherwise this stuff will just flake right off. Here's the baked product, and now you can see, and now I'm reshaping some clay, and now I'm going to add the nose. It's a lot easier to do it this way because the rest of it is solid. It's a firm piece, and I'm not working against soft clay. Really, the only soft part is the nose. It's much easier to shape into the size and shape that I want. Just using my spoon tool and my fingers and using the ball stylus to kind of smooth things out. Now I'm shaping around the eyes, just to give the eyes a little more depth, so they're not just open holes, you know, shaping out a brow bone. Because, I mean, you know, these are three-dimensional objects, so you want to give them some dimension. I'm cutting out some armature wire so I can help support the horns. These are, you know, things that are going to be kind of holding on by themselves, and so I want to give them a little more support so they don't fall right off if they get bumped. I'm just kind of putting some clay onto the armature wire and placing it onto the main piece. Working on the second horn. You can kind of see, once I've got them on, then it's safe to, you know, add more clay on and get the more of the shape that I'm looking for. This was a huge pain. It was so hard to get these at the right angle and get all the right edges on it, and you know, it looks simple. It looks like it should be simple, but it really wasn't. It was a total pain. There we go. So that went in the oven, and now I'm starting to work on the witch mask. Doing the same thing I did, the devil mask, forming out of foil shape to build on. Now it's just masking tape I put on it. Doing the same thing, shaping out the eyes and all the flat details. And then I'll go back and add the nose after the bake. So here I am kind of working out the mouth area. It's got kind of frown lines, but no actual mouth. Just kind of smoothing out the surface and using my spoon tool and my brushes to kind of shape in those frown lines. Now, there wasn't quite as much dimension around the eyes on this mask, so I felt safe to kind of start shaping in those crow's feet. Those aren't really crow's feet. I'm not sure what they call those. Here I'm kind of wiping it down with some clay softener. Now here's after the bake, and now I'm adding on the nose. And the big old nose. This is kind of on the border of how much clay you want to add without using some adhesive. The Sculpey brand is called Bacon Bond. I didn't have any on hand, otherwise I would have used some, but if you're going to add a piece pretty much any bigger than this, I would definitely recommend it. And I'm just kind of smoothing everything out. And I was really meticulous about trying to keep things smooth because these are supposed to look like basically like ceramic masks. So I wanted to keep them smooth. Here I am adding in some cheekbone definition. Again, just adding dimension to the mask. Adding on that brow bone. Here I am cleaning it down, or wiping it down with some clay softener to get rid of all those fingerprints. Ready for the baking. Now, the awesome thing about Sculpey, and probably all polymer clay, is that once it's baked, it carves really well. So here I am using my hobby knife to flatten things out. And here are all the baked masks. Now I'm using some 60 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to sand down those backs so these are ultimately going to hang, so I want the backs to be flat. So as dust builds up really fast, so make sure you have a good workspace to work in, otherwise it's going to get all over the place. Sanding down the front sides just to kind of get them a little more smooth. I think I'm using 120 grit sandpaper on the front side just so I don't, add a bunch of scores. Now, I'm using, I believe it's moss green and pure white and some kind of blue. You know, I'm just going to go back and put all the colors I used in the description here. I'm adding some tan and a little bit of blue just to get that perfect green color and just start painting it on. This is all acrylic paint by Folk Art, that's the name. I use these for pretty much all my projects. Here I mean Cardinal Red, and using again that I believe it's pure white. I'm just kind of mixing color by eye just to find that perfect shade. And again, I'm going to put all the colors I used in the description because I don't remember them offhand, because I'm a professional. Mixing some of that white with a little bit of the same blue I used on the witch mask to kind of get it, like, not solid, but a little more of a severe color than just pure white, kind of tone it down a little bit. Taking that blue. And this is a very fine brush to mark in those details. This was a huge pain. It was hard for me to get just the right amount of paint without it looking overdone. Still not 100% happy with it, but you know, it still looks good, I think. Just mix up some black. I believe this is pure black. Just painting in that mouth. And I'm not worrying about not, getting it on the teeth, because the acrylic, once it's dry, you can paint over it very well. It layers very well. Painting in some details around the eyes. Now here I'm mixing up the gray for the teeth. It's almost a silverish color, so I just mixed up a very dark gray. It's actually darker than it looks on screen, but again, just using that very fine brush to paint in the details. Because the teeth are, three-dimensional, it helps to kind of use those as a guide to make sure I don't go over the edges. I don't remember what color yellow this was. Again, I'll put it in the description. Mix it with a little bit of white and just the tiniest little bit of black, just on the tip of the brush. And mixing that up and using it to paint the teeth. I go back in with just some pure black and paint in the details of the teeth. Tell this is some very meticulous work. Now kind of painting in some details around the nostril holes, or nasal holes, I guess, around the eyes, just kind of adding some detail to make this so they don't look like they're brand new, because in the movie they do look kind of aged. They've got some smudges and dirt on them. That's kind of the look I was going for. I wasn't trying to replicate the same ones they sold at the parks. I was going for them to look like the ones from the movies. So there they are, all painted up. And now here I'm just using some black ribbon from the craft store and some hot glue. Just cutting off a length, and I was probably doing this all wrong. And actually, in hindsight, I definitely was, because I ended up taking the ribbon off and completely redoing how I was putting these on. But for here, I was attaching it with hot glue, which I did still. That's how it ended up. I just put the ribbon on in a different place. But attaching the ribbon with hot glue, just kind of eyeballing the length. It wasn't super important because I was going to cut it in half and tie bows at the top. cut in half. Now let's see how many times I can screw up a bow. One. There's two. There's three. And four. Okay, so that went on for a while, but I eventually got it. Looks pretty nice. Nice. Apparently I'm French now. So after some more work, I eventually got some halfway decent bows on all 3 masks. And there they are. Don't they look pretty? And you can see I can reattach the ribbon on the tops of the mask because they hung flatter on the wall.
So that's that, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. I sure had a hell of a lot of fun making them, even though I hit some roadblocks along the way. Apparently I can't tie bows for shit. But I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I know my wife is pretty happy with them, and they're a nice festive decoration that we can actually keep up for, I guess, Halloween and Christmas. I know a lot of people are intimidated by sculpting and working with clay, but my best advice to you is just get some. It's not that expensive. You don't have to have the same tools as I do. You don't have to have the same skill level that I do. It's important that you just find a starting place and work up from there. Just start working with your hands, start working with little utensils you find around the house. Just start. That's the most important thing about art and different kinds of multimedia is you just find a place to start and you go with it, and that's how you build a skill. But I hope I encourage some of you to just pick up a new skill, pick up something fun, and just decorate your own house with it. You don't have to go to the Halloween store or the arts and crafts store to buy pre-made decorations. You can make your own and they look awesome. And you know what? You have a sense of pride knowing that you made them yourself. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I'm going to be back as soon as possible. Now, my goal with this show is to always do something different. I wouldn't actually be, I wouldn't be making hockey masks or, sculpting every episode. I want to do something different so I can explore, a wide variety of different kinds of art and media. And I'm really going to try and push towards that. I don't know exactly when we'll be doing next episode, but I know I'm going to get one out as soon as possible. I want to try and get one out at least before Halloween. So we're going to see how that goes. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you know when I do put out another episode. And keep in mind, here at Graveplot Productions, we're not just doing this. We do have some other stuff that we put out from time to time, and then I'll let you know about all of it. So if you're into podcasts, or you're into horror-related film and TV, be sure to check out the Graveplot Podcast at graveplotpodcast.com. And if you want to support this and my ability to continue doing this, and the show itself, then please head to patreon.com/graveplotpodcast, and that'll help contribute to this and fund these projects and keep things going and make things more interesting. But I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I really hope you enjoyed yourselves. This has been SkeleTony's Workshop of Horrors, and until next time, I'm SkeleTony, signing out.